for somebody, let me see here. For that person who said I'm too apologetically black. No, I ain't going. I ain't going crazy. But I would tell you this. I don't want to. I want to be careful how I approach this because I don't want to get too. I don't want to get. I don't want to get into this. Step into this the wrong way. I want to be very careful what I say right here. But somebody asked me because I didn't know about this until like yesterday because I've been gone out of the country. That whole thing with those cops that killed that guy, beat him to death. And a lot of people were surprised to find out that it was actually 5 black cops that did it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are asking the question, what does this say about race now? What does it say about police brutality when it's not done by a white cop, which is what the narrative we expect? First of all, people, again, have y'all not been keeping up with Kanye and Candace and all these other self-loathing black people who are probably affected by, they've been influenced by constantly being fed a racist narrative about their own color? I can't tell you how many times I've talked about police brutality, and I got into a long discussion from a dude, a black dude, and this guy, I think this guy was from Africa, and he said he came over here, and I'm not saying that all Africans do this, but he was telling me about how it was that whole thing of we should do better as a people if we don't want to be killed, if we don't want to be beat. In other words, it was victim blaming, and we were the burden lay on us with that. There's so many situations of black people being trained to like distrust their own, dislike their own. And being in a situation where you have power like these cops do, it's only taken to a level that you see right here, where they beat a man and beat him to death. Because I can tell you, they probably had the mentality of the white cops when they got brought into the force. To look, you know what I'm saying, Martin? To look down on these on these people because they've been conditioned to think that these are poverty-ridden neighborhoods where they're violent, and if they only just if they would not commit crimes, or if they would just obey the law, then they'd be fine. But since they don't, we got to be aggressive with them. That's what I see.
Well, like I've always said from the beginning that the police brutality situation is not. It's much more about police than it is about race. It's their mentality, and in this particular case, it's Memphis, which is extremely segregated. The chief of police there is black, so it only makes sense that the officers would be black, and they're part of a task force called Scorpion, and it's an acronym for something about securing the streets at night. They were basically like the task force that Vic Mackey had in The Shield. It's exactly like that. So where they had impunity to go out and arrest and rough up any suspects they came across.
Okay.
I mean, with this, they've they've disbanded that unit.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of thing like this one, was caught and found out. Who knows how many other times they've done something almost as bad.
Sounds like vigilantes.
Yeah.
By that.
Yeah, and Martin is right. They disbanded it because now it received public attention because eventually it was going to get out of control and somebody was going to get killed. Somebody was going to get murdered unjustly. It's because I've always said this. It's not that there are not any good cops. There are good cops out there. I've always said that the system is messed up. It's a fraternity. It's a gang. It's a mafia. Whatever you want to call it. These people get to do a lot of what they do, and get away with it. There's not enough oversight. A lot of I don't know how you would do it, but until there's more punishment, until there's more oversight, until more cops are held accountable, until this whole system is overhauled, you're gonna keep getting things like this, man. You know, I believe that in a lot of places, and tell me if I'm wrong, like right out of high school, you go to the police academy for what, 6 months or something, and then you go into being a cop after that much training.
It's a lot of people that come out of the military, although they tend to be more disciplined. But other people who, maybe get out of high school or community college or just do nothing and then figure to go in. But yeah, that whole thing of like, well, some cops are going to be bad. But it's like, imagine if you were a shepherd and you had, flocks of sheep and you had a service that brought you sheepdogs to watch your sheep, to keep them safe. And the service would say like, by the way, some of our sheepdogs are wolves. I hope that's not going to be a problem. Would that be a problem? There's like, yeah, you might lose some. They might get eaten, but we can't help that. You wouldn't put up with that.
Yeah. It's not so much, like you said, Mark, it's not so much a black or white thing, anything in between. It's the mentality of the police that they have when they enter that system. Really, it comes down to cops have a lot of power that that doesn't get brought into check. I mean, there's a lot. Think about it. The stories that you hear about police brutalities are the stories that you just hear. There's a lot of stories that you don't see out there. There's a lot of brutality that's not caught on camera. That's why I always tell people, man, these cameras are our best friends. Some people are scared of them. Some people talk about their privacy, but shit, man, without these cameras, a lot of these murders police would get away with them. George Floyd, those cops would not be arrested if they did not have those cameras on them.
They were trying to cheat the audio because they didn't know they were being filmed. And for their body camera, they were saying things like, stop resisting, put your hands behind your back. Just to make
to make it seem like, well, they said that, so they can, so when they get in trouble,
because there's always somebody who says, well, what happened before this?
Yeah, these who oversees the overseer? Who watches the cops?
Who watches the watchman?
Yeah, there was a story.
So much talk.
What's that? Go ahead.
I just want to say that's why there's been so much talk for years. I mean, I don't know how they would be able to do it, but to federalize it. To federalize the police officers. And so instead of having them all in these towns and states and things like that, where they're all different rules and regulations and laws, like have one national thing, you'd have more control. But then I don't know how you would get that passed. It'd be impossible.
They get away with whatever they want to get away with a lot of times because they allow each other to get a pass. There was a cop that just got pulled over, ex-cop. He was actually an ex-police chief. Now, how many times have we been? Not only have we been told by the cops, but been talked down to in all forms of ways. Commercials, radio, internet. We've been bombarded with the message from the police: don't drive drunk. Drive drunk, go to jail. We've been guilted. You're going to get on the road, you're going to kill somebody. They've shown us victims, of drunk driving and guilted the public into not getting behind the wheel after getting drunk. This ex-police chief, sloppy drunk, blackout drunk, about to run into something. They pull his ass out the car. What do? Let him go home. Why? Because he was one of their own. That's why I don't fucking anytime a cop talks down to you, talking about, I remember I actually told a cop one time, I just said, man, just give me the ticket. He said, just don't. I said, you don't have to. And I don't know why, that was a stupid thing to do. But this cop told me, he was like, I tell my sister all the time, you're going to come out here speeding and you're going to run in one of these trees. And I was like, man, I said, you don't really believe that. I said, just give me the ticket. This is a big eye opener. A lot of people are saddened that, there's 5 black cops that brought this kind of shame to the community and whatnot. But I don't know, man. A lot of people need to see that these black cops are just as corrupt. And, cops in general can be just as corrupt as anybody else and racist against their own and other people as much as anybody else, because power corrupts. That's what it does. I mean, you see what happens when they gave these guys, when they just let them run rampant. They were like fucking dogs off of a leash, man. I don't know, man. I don't know. Anyway, is that apologetic enough for you, asshole? Stupid